Welcome, fellow digital soldiers, to True Reporting. It is the 21st of June, and on today's podcast, we will be covering an article from the Zero Hedge that I find most interesting. It is entitled, "Dissident Chinese Prisoners Have Organs Harvested. A Horrified Insider Blows the Whistle." And guys, this came out a couple days ago, but there's also a New York Post that follows up on this very subject. It delves deep into it, and we'll go over that right after this article. But before we do so, my friends, would you please welcome my new sponsor, MyPatriotSupply.com. Hey guys, we've seen some devastating weather disasters recently. Too much of our nation's farmland remains underwater, and storms continue to rake the heartland, knocking out power repeatedly to millions. It's been a bad year so far, and hurricane and wildfire seasons are just getting underway. When emergencies strike and the power goes out closing stores, you should have a backup food supply standing by, in your home, ready for use. Have you seen the 2-week food supply in a locking tote from My Patriot Supply? If not, get online now and get one. Right now, this 2-week emergency food kit is being sold at 45% off the regular price when you go to my special website, preparewithtruereporting.com. Breakfast, lunches, and dinners that last up to 25 years. My Patriot Supply ships fast too. In one business day, it's right to your door. When it's breaking news, it's too late to prepare. Do this now so there are no surprises, and save 45% at preparewithtruereporting.com. That's preparewithtruereporting.com. Guys, it's good to have you aboard. Let's go ahead and hop into it. This is True Reporting. So again, the title of this is "Dissident Chinese Prisoners Have Organs Harvested. A Horrified Insider Blows the Whistle." A horrifying practice is happening in China. Dissidents in prison are being killed for their organs. That's according to Stephen W. Mosher, president of the Population Research Institute, who writes about the practice in an article published in the New York Post. Mosher documents a graphic and terrifying account from Zhang Quazi, once an intern at China's Xinyang Army General Hospital. The former hospital worker is quoted as saying he saw the following as a part of an organ harvesting team. The prisoners were brought in, tied hand and foot, but very much alive. The army doctor in charge sliced him open from the chest to the belly button and exposed his 2 kidneys. Cut the veins and arteries, he told his shocked intern. George did as he was told. Blood spurted everywhere. The kidneys were placed in an organ transplant container. Then the doctor ordered George to remove the man's eyeballs. Hearing that, the dying prisoner gave him a look of sheer terror, and George froze. "I can't do it," he told the doctor, who then quickly scooped out the man's eyeballs himself. Chinese dissidents are being executed for their organs, former hospital worker says, by Stephen W. Mosher for the New York Post. According to Mosher, Zhang says he quit his job almost immediately, horrified by what he was asked to do and what he saw. Zhang is also quoted as saying he fled China, fearful of the possibility that he could one day end up like the prisoners he'd seen. Human rights observers say specific groups that go against China's policies are targeted, such as Falun Gong, a Buddhist sect that was deemed harmful by the Chinese government back in 1999. Many members were arrested, imprisoned, and never seen again. Mosher says Muslim minorities could be next, with millions of Uyghur and Kazakh men being sent to Chinese concentration camps. Read more here. Disappearing dissidents harvested for organs. This is when we get into the nitty-gritty. We'll continue further. Zhang, we will call him George, still has nightmares. He was interning at China's Xinyang Army General Hospital when he was drafted to be part of the organ harvesting team. The prisoner was brought in, tied in hand and foot. We went through that. And then he says here, George was so unnerved by what he had seen that he soon quit his job at the hospital and returned home. Later, afraid that he might be the next victim of China's forced organ transplant business, he fled to Canada and assumed a new identity. I can't blame him. If you think that CT trafficking is bad, obviously it is, and you think that they're not selling people for money, and you don't think that there's a black market and you're being so naive about life, there's a lot of dark stuff. But we must take notice that the light is winning and evil is running. These type of things will be eradicated in a very short time. Mark my words. First-person accounts like George are understandably rare. The transplant tourists, end quote, who come to China are naturally told nothing about the donors and their new heart, liver, or kidney, and those who are executed for their organs tell no tales. Experts estimate that between 60,000 and 100,000 organs are transplanted annually in China. Multiply that number times the cost of a liver transplant, $170,000, or a kidney transplant, $130,000, and the result is an eye-popping $10 to $20 billion profit. And where do these hundreds of thousands of organs come from? George was told nothing about the background of the young man whose kidneys he fatally removed, except that he was under 18 and in good health. He was just brought there. He probably didn't even do anything wrong. He was 18 and in good health, thus we're taking your organs. But experts like Ethan Gutman, author of several books on the subject, believe that the vast majority are obtained by executing prisoners of conscience. One particularly rich source of fresh organs for China's transplant industry in recent years has been the Falun Gong, which was declared a heretical Buddhist sector in 1999 by then Party Secretary Jiang Zemin. Hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions, of the group's followers have been arrested and disappeared into a vast network of secret prisons. Many never reemerged, at least in one piece. And we can see here on the right side, the world is beginning to wake up to the fact that virtually every organ transplant in China cost the life of an innocent human being. Again, the world is beginning to wake up. The Muslim minorities of China's far west are apparently next in line. Over the past couple of years, between 1 to 3 million Uyghur and Kazakh men have been arrested and sent to concentration camps. Beijing calls them vacational training centers. Yeah, it's just like when they do over here in America when they say, hey, we're going to set up a FEMA camp, right? You and your family are going to be safe. Well, why do you have armed guards and barbed wire around the facility? Oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it. It's just a FEMA camp. You're going to be taken good care of. And it's just like these concentration camps calling themselves vacational training centers. Tellingly, all these prisoners of conscience not only had their blood drawn upon entry, but also had their organs examined. Okay, something that stands out to me is blood drawn. So I'm thinking that, you can go down one way and say, and be naive about it and say, well, maybe they're just looking for disease. Maybe somebody has hepatitis or AIDS or who knows, cancer. But I think that they're looking for a specific bloodline. That's what I think. Continuing further, even more ominously, dedicated organ transplant lanes have been opened at airports in the region while crematory are being built nearby. Oh my God. All these suggest that assembly line harvesting of Uyghur and Kazakh and Tibetan organ is already getting underway. China is not ridding itself of troublesome minorities. It is profiting mightily in the process. Despite China's claims to the contrary, its transplant business is booming, and thanks to a Western technology called ECMO, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, it has become much, much more lucrative. 20 years ago, it was also possible to successfully harvest an organ or two kidneys, say, or a heart, from a transplant victim. The other organs, such as the lungs and liver, had to be discarded because they had been deprived of oxygen too long to be usable. Now, the victims are put on an ECMO machine. Oh my God, this is like Frankenstein, which serves as an artificial heart and lung and keeps every last organ fresh enough to be harvested. Just like who says in the Alliance, they are harvesting people. This is what they're doing. Now, the victims obviously were put on the ECMO machine, and before the ECMO machine, a victim's few salvageable organs were worth maybe $250,000. Now, with the ECMO to keep the organs fresh, every organ can be harvested, even the skin. Let's think about clones, right? And the victim is easily worth 2 or 3 times as much. ECMO, which has saved countless lives in the West, has had the opposite effect in China. It has accelerated the killing of innocent people. In recent years, China has gone to greater lengths to cover up these crimes from the international scrutiny. In January 2015, the government announced that it would only use organs from voluntary civilian organ donors and that the use of organs from executed prisoners would be banned. I would like to see that on paper. There's no way that they would step back from that amount of money flow. There's no way. It's too lucrative. These people are greedy. These people are sick. As proof, they even published statistics. These showed a straight line increase in voluntary, in quote, organ donations so picture perfect it could only be fabricated. And China's official number of voluntary donors had only risen by 6,000 by 2018, a number far too small to supply the many tens of thousands of organs actually transplanted that year. Proof that the slaughter of donors continues is revealed by the country's amazingly short wait times for organs. In normal countries, sick people can wait for many months or years for an organ to become available. The wait time in the UK is 3 years. The wait time in Canada is 6 years. Only in China do organ tourists receive a kidney, heart, or liver transplant within days or weeks of arrival. In fact, in some cases, patients have reported that their transplant surgeries were scheduled before they even arrived in China, something that could only happen as a result of forced organ harvesting. The world is beginning to wake up to the fact that virtually every organ transplant in China costs the life of an innocent human being. That's why countries like Israel, Spain, Italy, and Taiwan have already banned transplant tourism. In the past, primitive peoples often practiced human sacrifice. There you go. In the past, primitive peoples often practiced human sacrifice in order to propitiate the gods. But China's official atheistic communist party couldn't care less about appeasing or displeasing a higher being. It has resurrected the practice of, there it is, human trafficking for two very practical reasons: to rid itself of troublesome minorities and to turn a huge profit. China's organ transplant assembly line is not only murder for hire, but may turn out to be a kind of genocide as well. Wow. Stephen W. Mosher is the president of the Population Research Institute and the author of Bully of Asia: Why China's Dream is the New Threat to the New World Order. So guys, like I said, I knew this was going to get deep. This was two great articles, very disturbing, but it does take place. You can't be naive about these sort of things. One thing that stood out to me were the crematoriums next to the airport. What does that remind you of? Does that remind you of Planned Parenthood right next door to hospitals? They work on the same platform, guys. If you found this informative, my friends, and you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter at TRUreporting, and don't forget to leave a like. The more likes that this video receives, the more times it is recommended to other viewers, thus more eyes on the truth. My friends, if you want to donate to this channel and keep it afloat, please go to my PayPal or Patreon in the description box below. We also have a P.O. box. Guys, take care and be loving to one another, and I will talk to you very soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.